annual UNCA advertising competition. I've been told there's a cake at the back, and since I can't eat sweet things, I expect the cake to be gone by the time we finish the competition. Okay. We're very lucky this year to have three very good judges with us. Many of you know Professor Davitia. Originally from Armenia, I helped to recruit him, bring him here. We met him in New Orleans. No, sorry, Atlanta. We met you in Atlanta, yes. He is an assistant professor of marketing, specializing in social media. And we're very, very glad to have David here. In the middle, we have Brenda Murphy, who is the founder and president of ClearPoint Marketing. That's all I've written, Brenda. I got talking to you after that, and I forget. But Brenda was very, very enthusiastic about coming here. Okay, I cold called her, and I was very, very glad to get her at the last moment after someone else dropped out. And at the end, we have Judy Willis, who is a member of the advisory board. She is also the president and CEO of Judy Willis Marketing, which is a virtual collaborative company, agency rather, and we're very glad to have them here. So let's have a round of applause for our judges, please. Somewhere in my bag, I have the plaque, the trophy that goes to the winners. It'll probably be the last time that I see it. So whoever wins it, keep it well. I think I've gone over the rules with all of you, so you know what you have to do. So could I call on the first group, please, to come up and make their presentations? Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bella, and these are my group members, Dalton, Eddie, and Lexi. And today we have a public service announcement for you called Adopt, Not Shop.
Hi, my name is Chester. I love treats and spending time with my humans, doing fun things like going on hikes, car rides, or just snuggling on the couch. But I used to live in a shelter. I was adopted at 5 years old, and then we moved to Germany. There I got to travel all over Europe, seeing and smelling all kinds of awesome things. Europe was great, but nothing beats the North Carolina farm life I live now, with fresh air and wide open spaces. I'm so thankful my humans chose to adopt, not shop.
So I'm going to begin by talking to you guys a little bit about our target market. On our very first meeting as a group, we made it a priority to clearly define our target market because we believe it is the most vital component of a successful advertisement. The target market for our particular advertisement, Adopt Not Shop, are millennials. These individuals are between the ages of 22 and 37 years old. They are fun, outgoing, and they love to travel. Whether it be travel for fun and adventure or for a job or career change, as these individuals are commonly referred to as the job hopping generation. The particular reason we chose this target market is because we believe that many individuals from older generations have stigmas against adopted pets. They're viewed as having defects or flaws, and they're not as good as animals that may be pure blood or have papers. And Lexi will now discuss with you a little bit about the strategy we use to reach this particular target market.
Our strategy involved three main areas: the theme, the story, and the setting. Typically, when you see a promotion for a pet adoption, it's portrayed through a sad ad that hopes you will see the horrible condition in which these pets are living and be called to go adopt out of more or less pity or sadness. But we wanted our promotion for pet adoption to be different and more upbeat and happy. We thought that sharing a wonderful and successful case from an animal that was adopted locally would garner a better response from our target market. We actually focused our ad around my family dog, Chester. We thought that Chester traveling to many different countries with my military family was an exciting story that a lot of people would find interesting, as many humans haven't even traveled to that many countries. We thought it'd be awesome to talk about it through a dog's point of view. We thought this was important since we are targeting millennials and young adults, and many people in this category are reluctant to have animals that may tie them down to one position and limit their abilities to travel. But Chester's story shows that it's 100% possible to have a family pet that travels with you among your life. Our setting for the ad is Chester's real home. We wanted everything in the ad to be authentic and truthful, so where we shot all of the film was true to his forever home. Eddie will now speak with you about the execution of our film.
So for the angles in the camera work, we use a thing called the rule of thirds to really capture the center of the story, which is Chester. The point of this was to really capture the narrative feel and the story-like thing that we are trying to portray here. Many of you guys may know of the infamous commercial, "In the Arms of an Angel," which we were trying to avoid because that would not portray the strategy we were going with this ad. For the editing and audio, we decided to go with a southern accent because we believe that it would fit a lot better with Chester's farm dog kind of character. Utilizing shots to clearly portray a story, we use a thing called the cinema look. And if you'll notice when we play the ad again, what that is that we have black bars on the top and on the bottom, and this portrays a better sense of this narrative type of story. Something you can also notice that we have our logo in the bottom right of the screen the whole time throughout the ad. And the point of this is so that our message is clear throughout the whole entire ad. For music, we decided to use something that is a little bit more hopeful, that I can fit our message a lot better. And if you'll notice, in the end, we used a drone shot. And the point of this is that we can kind of leave off on a hopeful note, and then our last thing being our slogan, which is Adopt Not Shop. Our goal was to create a mood that this is Chester's story and that his life is valuable. And so with the presented information on our target market, strategy, and execution, we hope that our advertisement is more clear and even more enjoyable the second time that you see it.
According to the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, 6.5 million animals enter shelters in the United States each year, with about a 50-50 split between cats and dogs. Of this 6.5 million, 1.5 million of them are euthanized. Please make sure to do your part and adopt, not shop.
Hi, my name is Chester. I love treats and spending time with my humans, doing fun things like going on hikes, car rides, or just snuggling on the couch. But I used to live in a shelter. I was adopted at 5 years old, and then we moved to Germany. There I got to travel all over Europe, seeing and smelling all kinds of awesome things. Europe was great, but nothing beats the North Carolina farm life I live now, with fresh air and wide open spaces. I'm so thankful my humans chose to adopt, not shop.
Are there any questions?
So first of all, I like the story component of your ad. So you're telling a story to make it more relevant to people, to engage them. However, your story is a success story, so you're showing that you can successfully adopt a pet and have fun, and the pet will have fun with you as well. Why you choose to go that way, not to say, but I live in, let's say, I'm looking for someone to adopt me.
Many ads are already made that try to fit that. Eddie mentioned the Arms of an Angel ad. So there are already countless ads out there that try to go for the sad narrative. They show the pictures of them in cages, suffering in this sad atmosphere. We wanted to show a success story that showed that these animals are good animals and they can travel with our particular target market that likes to move around and travel. That is the reason we chose it.
I want to comment on that, on the travel part. I thought that was an excellent insight that you had, to be sure and include that as part of your story. One question I have about that is, did you decide on that before you decided point of view, to tell it from the dog's point of view instead of the owner's?
I think Lexi may be able to answer that better than me.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to tell it as a story about the animal, and we actually had a few different options of which animal we would tell the perspective from. So that was kind of decided beforehand. But then as we started talking about our different pets that were adopted, we were talking about their different stories and thought that this really was the standout story that we wanted to share and grab people's attention with.
So you knew you wanted to tell it from the pet's perspective up front?
We did.
Okay.
We thought that that would be a way to lock people in, because you see a lot of pet adoption or shelter videos, and we wanted it to be different and not just one where you stand up and say, okay, let me run to the kitchen real quick. We wanted it to be one that caught people's attention and made them stay where they were.
Great.
Question, with the southern accent, et cetera, and being in Western North Carolina, was your target audience only Western North Carolina, or are you looking for a more United States view, North American view, global view?
When we made this ad, we were under the impression that it would be on a local station, so we kept that in mind in trying to play to the Western North Carolina area.
That's why in the end we also showed some of the local agencies that are also involved. Yeah.
Also, we pictured Chester with a southern, like Western North Carolina accent because he was, I don't know if we said that, but he was adopted at Brother Wolf here locally in 2008. So he was adopted here in 2008 and then did all this traveling and is now retired here. So, yeah.
Does your ad have legs? What I mean by that is, if you were going to take this ad and you were going to broadcast it, you know, it's a one-spot wonder. So does it have legs? Have you thought through what you would do as a follow-up if you were going to make this a campaign?
If we were going to follow this up as a campaign, we would remove the final agencies at the end and make it something like the Humane Society that is kind of spread across the country, or agencies that are spread at least throughout the South. We would start, broadening out from Western North Carolina to North Carolina as a whole, and then the Southeast. We feel like that character, that Southern farm life character, would still play well throughout the Southeast, possibly even the Midwest as well. So that is where we would expand.
And what was your total length?
30 seconds.
30, okay. Did you even look, and this might not have been part of your assignment, but did you look at shorter versions, or did you even consider that as you were planning?
We had a length requirement of 30 seconds. So we really didn't look at any shorter versions. We really just tried to fill this 30-second. And it did take a little bit of work with the audio. The audio script I originally wrote was a little longer than the 30 seconds, so we had to dial that back a little bit, but 30 seconds was always the target goal for the ad.
Now, if we hadn't seen the name of your organization on here, and you've got the dog narrative, how is the dog's narrative actually telling the audience what you want them as a takeaway?
The takeaway for our audience is that shelter pets can travel with you. They can go to different countries and go everywhere you want to go, and it can be successful, and they can live an amazing life. That is really the takeaway, and we believe that takeaway can reach a much larger audience than just Western North Carolina. As we said, millennials love to travel, whether it be for a job or adventure, and we want to show a successful story of that actually happening instead of the sad.
So you have more kind of traveling, sort of hiking. Did you think about having a long kind of distance travel, like putting Chester in a car with the person or into an airplane? I understand that it's difficult to create in terms of the class, but kind of to highlight the travel component, because here it's just let's hike around.
Right.
Yeah, we thought about taking a photo that was traveling or in a different location. We had a couple from when he was in Europe, but we thought that the still photo, we were having trouble in our minds putting a still photo in with our video. But I think it definitely would have been possible and would have looked good if we were able to do that too.
And something that should, on the technical side, that we wanted to strategize as well is that because the music is not too slow and mellow, but not too fast and upbeat, we wouldn't want to kind of quickly go through the whole entire ad with lots of shots, kind of a big pace, and then kind of miss the idea of the story it's trying to push through, because originally we did play around with some of that, adding in more different shots, but then we thought about it and we wanted the pace to be just right. That way we can hear what he is saying, right, because from his perspective, but at the same time that the shots give it enough space to kind of sort of fit the imagination of whoever's watching it and kind of get that feel of the story, That's one reason why we weren't able, if it was longer shot, ad, we probably could have added more, like what you suggested, but we went kind of what we had for the sake of our limited time margin.
And we wanted to keep it like his home, which she'd said. We wanted to let him know that this is his farm life, this is what he's doing, and he's extremely happy there too. And then also by explaining in the ad that he had gone to Germany, it's kind of implied that he was taken on a plane to Germany and can do those sorts of things travel-wise.
Would you have approached this question differently, theoretically, if you had no budget restrictions whatsoever? And you could do, your everything at your beck and call, and you could get whatever actors you wanted, you could shoot whatever you wanted, whenever and wherever. Would you have taken a different approach to showing the travel?
I think yes.
I think it would have been cute to have a little Chester on an airplane looking out of the window. Definitely. Like, that would have been super cute. If we had been able to do that, that definitely would have made it in there. Yeah, that would be really cute.
Constraints of what you had to work with, you did a great job.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay. Hi, my name is Karen Shavy, and this is Colin Petty, Francis Shaper, and Tracy Walker. And for our public service announcement, we focus on turning away from disposable plastic items and replacing those items with reusable products. And here is our advertisement. Okay, thanks.
Plastic waste is a problem that cannot be ignored. Do your part to solve this problem. Go reusable. Rise above plastic.
So it was the end of January when we first met as a group, and because January is Zero Waste Month, we felt that encouraging those around us to reduce their plastic waste would be a good idea for a project. One of our main goals was to make everyone aware of just how much plastic waste they accumulate. Our message is designed to encourage students to pick up a reusable bag or a reusable bottle next time they're at the store. And with research, we found that a lot of people begin by using a reusable bag or a stylish reusable water bottle, and with time, they turn to more and more reusable items. So that was a great place to start. We wanted to encourage those that are already on board with using a reusable bag or reusable bottle to consider purchasing also a reusable metal straw or a reusable hard plastic straw. And now, to share with us about our target market is Tracy.
Ready. So the majority of our filming took place here on the UNCA campus, so our target audience was college students here. Right here we see a large number of students using reusable water bottles, but there's still a large percentage that uses vending machines and purchases plastic bottles from the other outlets and bookstores on campus. So we wanted to impress upon our other college students that now's the time that we should be changing our bad habits for our good habits, and that we can make a world of difference by moving from the disposable to reusable items. We felt that as college students, we're already accustomed to carrying around backpacks and things like that with us everywhere we go, so it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to carry a reusable bag with us to the grocery store or to the bookstore. It should just come as second nature to us. And for how we organize the ad, Colin's up.
Yeah, so we organized our ad so that it follows a progression. We open with the problem, show how the problem is perpetuated, and then show the scale of the plastic problem. And then we finish with the solution. During the everyday plastic usage portion of the ad, we show 3 clips each of disposable straw usage, plastic bag usage, and plastic bottle usage. This symmetry allows the viewer's focus to spread across these 3 common plastic waste contributors. In our final shot, we have a group of 3 young adults showcasing our suggested reusable solutions. This shot takes place in an attractive green space, and the subjects are happy while engaging with one another. This helps the solution seem attractive to the viewer and shows that the solution to the plastic waste problem is in taking proactive steps together. The structure of our ad intentionally works to motivate the viewer to reduce her plastic waste by going reusable. Here to go in more detail about editing is Francis.
So we decided that for the speed of our ad, that the transitioning for the individual clips would be really effective. We started from slow and then got faster as this highlights that this is a constant pattern, and college students were always up and moving and need convenience. And so this kind of created a dramatic effect that we liked and kind of draws the attention to the ad. And then the speed up also represents how quickly plastic waste accumulates, and that this is that the pattern is the issue. It's not just going to the vending machine once and getting a drink in a plastic bottle. It's the habit that we need to break, and that if it's all of us doing it as well, it accumulates a lot quicker than if it's just one person doing it. So for the music in our ad, we chose a happy and more upbeat background music to produce a more uplifting feeling for the viewers. Like I said, college students are always up and going, so we felt that a faster paced music would be more fitting than something slower. And then we also decided to do a voiceover at the beginning and at the end of the clip. We didn't want it to take away from the clips that we had and the statistics that we included as well. And so we felt that it kind of gave a message at the beginning, and then at the end it was kind of our little slogan that we came up with to do your part. And then we also decided to only include 2 facts, which we placed over the picture of the sea of the trash. We felt that this was it kind of pulled together the plastic bags, the straws, and then also the reusable water bottles was kind of more of a general plastic fact, but that was very powerful and kind of brings the overall message to the audience. So now that you have a deeper understanding of our commercial, we'll show you the ad one more time.
Plastic waste is a problem that cannot be ignored. Do your part to solve this problem. Go reusable. Rise above plastic.
Are there any questions? One or two?
Sure, great ad. So you highlight that you provide statistic how much waste each person creates or makes per year. Did you ever consider showing the results of this waste? Because here we see the sequence of a lot of people buying plastic stuff, but you never showed what happened after with these products.
Yeah, we felt that the still picture that the message was put over was kind of the result of our accumulation of all the trash. And with the 30-second restraint, we didn't really have enough time to show the really negative stuff of like landfills and things like that. We chose to focus more on just the repetition of the problem and how easy it is to kind of fix it.
My second question would be, so do you think you were trying to appeal to the heart of people or to their mind?
That's an excellent question. I guess the way our ad ended up, I feel it's probably more towards their mind. There's not really a strong emotional connection to it, just like this is the right thing to do, like you should do this, to solve this problem, help save the environment. But yeah, I'd definitely say it's more of a thought than a heart.
Thank you.
I thought you did a great job. Thinking about it, one thing that I saw came across very strongly was you have a really good brand promise slogan. And that's difficult to do. I have clients that still don't know how to do it. So I was very impressed. Go reusable, rise above plastic. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Did you think about at the very end, after you have your verbal, the message, from the voiceover, to have something on screen as well?
We did think about that, but we just felt that overall, hearing the verbal message and just seeing like the group of, college students hanging out using all of their reusable products as we all sit around the quad doing, would be an effective way to end it without needing to add more wordage to our screen.
Similar to the question I asked the first group, what about this particular advertisement has legs? If you were to take it and build it into a campaign, what do you think you do next?
Well, I mean, you could easily take something like this and highlight it for individual universities, but you could just as easily take it to a big city and show like the perpetual problem there as well, with like people in New York constantly on the go and all of the reusable or the disposable items that they're constantly grabbing from convenience stores and other places like and vending machines as well. So I mean, I think it really could translate into a lot of different areas.
And there's also a lot of different reusable products nowadays that we were considering when we came up with the whole idea. And so I think we could even broaden it with different products and highlighting them as they kind of come out.
Yeah, like one idea we thought about was possibly for young mothers, the like reusable diapers and reusable bottles, and they don't have reusable wipes, but possibly I don't know what third one would be.
Yeah.
But
Plethora of options for new mothers.
So why do you think we still have this problem in our university?
I don't think it's obviously not just our university. It's, nationwide, worldwide. I think it's probably just a mixture of laziness and just willful ignorance, maybe more than anything. I mean, that might sound a little harsh.
not enough time too. I think a lot of times you're on the run, and instead of going and filling your water bottle up at the refrigerator, you end up running out the door, and by the time you get to class, for instance, you go and grab a water bottle.
So that can be an interesting continuation for your commercials. To show why this happens and that it's really easy to kind of change your behavior, or what are the real reasons.
Not very good.
Good job.
Yeah, nice.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Madison, and these are my partners, Sean and Q, and our PSA was about Adopt Today. So our call to action was, of course, Adopt Today, and we used a host company, Asheville Humane Society, which is a local shelter here in Asheville, North Carolina. And we chose to go the positive route because we wanted our audience to emotionally connect in an upbeat way. We wanted the audience to feel the joy of a future pet and what they could bring to them. And adopting a pet is a happy experience, so we didn't want to guilt our audience into adopting a pet. We wanted them to want to adopt a pet. And now here's Sean to elaborate a little more.
Okay, so as far as our target market goes, we targeted 18 to 30-year-olds, so specifically young adults that are typically single and or not married and apartment living, which is displayed in the commercial. We used animals both from AHS and animals directly from our target market audience. And also the female at the end is from our target market audience as well. We included a bunny in the middle to show that AHS deals with more animals than just cats and dogs. And the color scheme showcased on our slide coincides with the colors used by AHS, with that being green and purple. The viewing time on the purple slide is slightly longer than the green slide, not only because there are more words to read, but because the way it slides into the video. And also, the data used on the slides came directly from AHS records. And that's all I got. You ready, Q?
I will talk about our intentions and details of our ads. So for first scene, we intentionally matched the first scene and the last scene. First scene was where the dog coming towards to the audience, and the last scene was where the dog and the owner moving away from the audience. So we used this technique because we thought it was a good way effective way to draw audience's attention in the beginning. And at the last, we are telling the audience implicitly that the ad's gonna end soon. So if you're interested, get ready for the contact information. And so we got this idea from the previous competition, like UNCA Recreation, but we try not to make the same mistake, which was not letting audience know what the ad was about. That's why we put 2 slides in the middle of ad instead of waiting until the end. And also, the first scene and last scene represent before and after adoption. So first scene has only animal itself, which is before the adoption, and the last scene is where the animal and the owner is together, which means after the adoption. And the reason we use the slide instead of voiceover is we know voiceover can be really efficient when it's used properly, because it lets audience to use their eyes, also their ears, to absorb and get the information. So what we tried to do was actually using AHS personnel to narrate through our ads to increase our legitimacy and authenticity. But we also talk about throughout the semester that voiceover is really hard to do because the speed of narration or the pronunciation of narrator. That is why we use slides to convey our message instead of voiceover. So watch our commercial one more time.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, that's so sure. So your target market, as you mentioned, this is kind of younger market, 18 to 30-year-olds. Do you have any kind of explanation why you selected this specific target market? The first group also, they selected the same target market. So my question is about, did you do some research to figure out that these are the people who are interested in adopting the pets more? Did you think even about families with small kids, kind of trying to appeal to kids so they will tell their parents, so let's actually adopt and not buy animal?
So when we started out with this, we were going to add different age groups, but we found that it would be easier to use a younger market, especially in the local area, because people are coming to UNCA to study and stuff, and they're leaving home. So adopting a pet would create happiness and keep them on track in school. Sort of.
Okay, thank you. Just a continuation of that. Again, I mean, great job. But if you are focusing on a student market, what happens with your rent when you adopt a pet? Your rent goes up immediately. Can students afford doing that?
When adopting a pet, it's not as costly as when buying a pet. So it would cut down on the spending cost of actually adopting one, which would help in their budget.
Again, what would you do for legs with this ad, to develop a campaign?
If we were to expand it, we would take away the AHS and use a broader market, find studies on like global adoptions and expand that way.
Or also is about Asheville, the city, so we can use different cities, Humane Society, different counties, and that can be our stretch.
Or you could expand, instead of going out, is to go in and look at other specific demographic groups and just tailor it, the ad to those. For example, the young families would be great, and you could perhaps use the same thing, but just modify enough to do that. Would that? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
Great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hold up. This should be fine. Hello, I'm Sean. This is Jax and Josh, who are my partners. And today our advertisement is about mental health.
As athletes, we grind in the dark to shine in the light.
At the line. This is a 1-1.
But despite our best efforts, sometimes it just ain't our night. It's hard to ignore haters and drown out the noise, to stay resolute and maintain our poise. But help does exist. Just search and you'll find resources on campus to preserve a healthy mind. Everyone is going through something that we can't see.
So our target audience is, our primary target audience is athletes who are often inside these high pressure situations and are often under so much immense pressure to perform and be able to produce that they often go through mental issues that are like invisible to the naked eye and are often overlooked and often misrepresented and not seen because they are athletes and often have this stereotype of people thinking that they are like heroes and greater than like the normal person. Our target audience is everyone else because mental health can it's a large scope. It can capture like everybody. Anyone can be impacted by it, and no one can see it. Hence, its broadness.
And I'm going to talk about some of the symbols and intentions we have in our ad. So for our first scene, we use a dark room as Jax is practicing his shot. And that's to show that these athletes, when put in these situations, actually practice these game-winning shots and really emphasize the pressure that is put on them. So going into the moment, the next scene, we have a heartbeat going along with him as he's about to take the shot. And we used real footage as well to show the shot was an actual important shot in a real game. And if you look at the score, Jax's team does result in losing the game, and the shot really could have helped. As Jax walks off the court as well, we try to blur the rest of the audience and really focus on Jax walking to show that his head is down, and really his body language shows how disappointed he is and how crushed the moment made him. At the end of the ad, we also used Kevin Love, who is a pro athlete, and we really want to emphasize what Sean was saying, how these pro athletes are seen as such confident figures, and that even they struggle behind the scenes with stuff like mental health and depression, anxiety, and it really just doesn't show. As well, we used a rhyme scheme to use as a memory tool for our audience to really remember our ad after they watch it and not just kind of on to the next thing. We wanted them to remember, oh, that's the ad that rhymes, and really use the script to help get along our message. And with that, we will play the ad.
As athletes, we grind in the dark to shine in the light.
At the line. This is a 1-1.
But despite our best efforts, sometimes it just ain't our night. It's hard to ignore haters and drown out the noise, to stay resolute and maintain our poise. But help does exist. Just search and you'll find resources on campus to preserve a healthy mind. Everyone is going through something that we can't see.
Okay, any questions?
In the beginning of the video, was it a deliberate choice to start the audio so quiet? Was it a deliberate?
Yeah, I actually took the decibels down a little bit because I didn't want to lead it with too much excitement. Kind of just to set the tone for the rest of the ad.
Yeah, it pulls you in a little bit because you're trying to listen to it. Yeah.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Can you please specify your primary target market? Is it just athletes or athletes at UNCA campus?
It could be athletes anywhere because, as seen inside the ad, Jax actually was at a previous school when this event happened, and it could
impact any athlete. So it could be any collegiate and professional athlete.
Because I'm asking this because your call to action is go and find something on the campus. So it kind of seems a little bit like it will resonate better with people on this campus. And the second question, whose voice did you use? Is it your voice?
No, it's a friend of mine who does a radio show, so I thought that he could project a good tone.
So why not to use your voice to tell your story?
I thought about it, but then I just felt it would be good because I'm focused not focused, but I'm in the entire ad. So then being on the voiceover as well, I didn't want it to be, I just felt that using someone else might be better to switch it up.
How did you decide on your call to action?
So we decided on the call to action because we just wanted to emphasize the point of how it is such a big issue and how it's sometimes may seem like that you're alone and you won't be able to help yourself out. It's just there is stuff out there to help you, and it is an important problem. Lots of people suffer from it, and it's good to go out and there are resources out there available for you to get better.
And was the phone number a real helpline? Oh, that's great.
The phone number was actually the same number on the poster as well, which was the You're Not Alone. So mental health, kind of like depression hotline as well. Yeah, we tried to zoom in on it enough to where you could see it, but it was kind of hard to get me and the phone number in it as well. But we made sure we used the same one.
Again, the legs question, how do you make it have legs over time?
Well, if we were to expand, we really want to show more than just basketball because other sports do have clutch moments, whether it be a final inning, a penalty, or a field goal. So we'd probably expand into different sports and show the different moments and tell different stories like Jax's of how you can be crushing these moments, but there's people around you and that you're not overlooked. There is actually help out there and there's a community for you to reach out to.
As a follow-up, would you still be targeting student athletes, or are you going to broaden it out for, pro athletes, elite athletes, Olympic athletes?
Well, you bring up Olympic. Michael Phelps, I don't remember when it was, but he actually came out and spoke about this as well with Kevin Love, who we've mentioned in this. So it is kind of a hotter topic in professional athletes, which I think will trickle down into student athletes, although they are on a much higher stage. But eventually, I think our main focus would be to student athletes.
Which medium would you use to kind of show this ad? Is it TV ad, or are you thinking about YouTube, internet?
I think the biggest would be social media because a lot of our age range is on social media thoroughly. So I think that would be the best medium to show it, and it's the most cost effective as well, if that were to come into play.
Would you consider broadening it out to students instead of more athletes?
Yeah, we knew that was going to be brought up. Obviously, we focused just on athletes, but the quote that we used, everyone is going through something, we thought that brings it all together. So there was a reason behind that as well.
Going back to the call to action, when I watched this, I kept looking for the call to action. It was more, to me, an informational, but not as strong a call to action. So again, asking you, when you thought through how to, what did you want to drive to happen? Was it to call that number? Would people, automatically assume you just call the number, or what would it be?
So inside the ad, we see Jax approach the poster and write down the number, and we felt it was important to show that a person was there writing down the information and seeing the information, because when someone sees someone else doing something, they are more inclined to do it themselves and go out and find the information for themselves too. So that was important for us to have that in the ad.
And what kind of research did you do? I know you were the athlete, so I know you've went through things, but.
Well, I think those two together actually were the ones that brought up the idea for us to do this. And then once they brought it up, then the Kevin Love thing, because that was the most recent one, I think, the biggest one. So that kind of just like triggered it, I guess, as far as, yeah, I mean, it's just like, sorry, it's the most recent memory that came to my mind. Do you want to add on that?
Thank you.
Hi, I am Elise Holdaway, and I am joined with my group members, Leah Johnston and Walter Settles. We chose to do a PSA on the bystander effect and the psychological phenomenon where people who see an incident will assume that somebody else will take action rather than you. And now we will show our ad.
Let's say you go to a party or spend time with friends for fun. Every time I go to a party, I have the statistic on my mind that 1 in 13 college-age students are unknowingly drugged. I do my part to make sure that doesn't happen, and it's time you do the same. Don't stand by, stand up.
The bystander effect first became popularized by social psychologists Bob Latane and John Darley in 1962 after the infamous and tragic murder of Kitty Genovese. As Kitty was stabbed to death outside of her apartment, her neighbors heard all of it happening and no one thought to call the police or attempted to intervene. Latane and Darley supported this claim via 2 different sociological and psychological theories, with the diffusion of responsibility theory, which is the assumption that onlookers will intervene so you as an individual do not have to, and the social influence theory, which is that individuals watch what others are doing around them to know how to act in any given situation. In this commercial, we wanted to highlight the target market of college-age students from ages 18 to 30, specifically those who will potentially witness an act of violence against a peer. We wanted to aid in removing the stigma around being a social leader, as well as increase safety awareness to college students who go out. We collaborated as a team along with several focus groups and decided the most appropriate way to visually represent this message would be to put the viewer into the scene of a party and show a potential real-life example of what needs to be done to prevent the assault of a classmate.
So now I'm going to discuss with you the different scenes and a little bit about why we chose to do them. From the very beginning, you are faced with a striking image of an alcoholic beverage being drugged by a man that we refer to as the aggressor. The act is seen by a bystander who immediately has a reaction. The bystander's ideas and thoughts about the situation are iterated through the voiceover. The drink, as you see, is then brought out to an unsuspecting victim by the aggressor as the bystander looks on. And we are then faced with yet another striking image of the bystander being handed, or the beverage being handed over to the victim. The final portion, you see the bystander walk over courageously to the victim to tell her what the aggressor has done and to stop the act from happening. And now Walter is going to discuss a little bit about the planning process.
We did do our research, and based on our research from Live Science, we found that 1 out of 13 college students at some point would be drugged. We wanted to show the commercial with the visual of a drink being drugged, as it gives a clear image of the aggressor's intentions. The alcohol in the background helped set the scene for a party. We wanted to create a scene that was relatable to college students and would appear innocent under ideal drug-free circumstances. We used the specific actor as the bystander because of his very unique look, with the intention of him standing out more. Many preparations were required to pull off this PSA, many hours of brainstorming, scraping ideas, coming up with new ideas, and finally hanging on to our intuition. We want to honor those who have fallen victim to these crimes and always had the intention of being respectful in our work.
Our hope for this public service announcement was and always will be to educate and motivate college students to be more aware of their surroundings and what those around them are doing, especially when it comes to the safety of another individual. Don't stand by, stand up, calls to those who may see something happen at a party or social gathering, and also calls for conversations and discussions to begin about keeping yourself and others safe. I hope that after seeing this PSA, you will feel the desire to educate your children, friends, and loved ones on personal safety and how to effectively step in when they see something wrong. Without further ado, we'd like to show you our ad again.
Let's say you go to a party or spend time with friends for fun. Every time I go to a party, I have the statistic on my mind that 1 in 13 college-age students are unknowingly drugged. I do my part to make sure that doesn't happen, and it's time you do the same. Don't stand by, stand up.
We would love to answer any questions you may have.
I'm very curious in how you decided to script what did you call the aggressor and the rescuer?
The aggressor and the bystander.
Bystander, okay. So how you decided to have the bystander go to, I'll just say the victim, the prospective victim, instead of challenging the aggressor, which might be, especially among college students, the first tendency.
Well, when you're faced with a situation like this, it's always better to keep yourself safe than to put yourself in the middle of what could possibly be an altercation, and you are more safe going to the person that may be the victim of somebody's intended act than going straight to the person who's doing it. You always want to avoid a disturbance or direct contact with somebody who might be innately aggressive.
And that's a very rational response. And I am thinking that it might not be the first response that most people in a role of bystander might take. In other words, it looks like you've done a very good job of modeling the behavior that you are calling on people to take.
Yes, this is meant to educate and show you what the proper motions are. And while there are a lot of motions you can go through that are proper and safe, we wanted to display at least one of those. So.
All right, you're going to get the leg question too. You know, how are you going to bring that out? And, you know, it's interesting seeing the ad and seeing what happens when you have the bystander going up to the victim, so to speak. But as we all know, we want to protect people from this, but we also have to stop it. So, you know, what do you think for additional legs? How would you make this a campaign to get the whole message across?
So in a lot of the discussions we had, it was about placement of it. So moving forward, we could do it in a bar setting or a concert setting to move it outside of like the campus kind of house party setting. And we also thought of the perceived genders of the bystander and the victim and the aggressor, honestly. If we can shift all of those and show that there is also male on male crime and female on male crime and female on female, we thought that that's a way that we could push it forward. And I don't necessarily know that we can make a PSA that stops this, unfortunately, but if we push forward in that campaign, I think that the awareness will be heightened and people will be more able to push past their psychological stopping point and become the person who saves someone.
And your goal is not to stop it with this. Your goal is to encourage bystander intervention, which you did, yeah.
So this is a very interesting topic, and thank you for selecting that. But I have a couple of questions about the execution part. So why Beethoven?
We chose this music because it was something that went along with not only the visuals, but also it is somewhat recognizable when you hear it, and we want it to be something that kind of stays in your head along with the visuals. So if you hear something similar to that, you might think of the song and also think of the situation that the ad was portraying. Initially, it was just to find music that went along with what we were doing visually, that kept it slow, but also gave you a feeling of like, this is something important. But as time went on, we did want to have music that encouraged a true feeling that you could then tie the advertisement too.
And we had a couple run-throughs with a different song, and the focus groups decided that this is the one that they preferred for the ad as well.
I'd like to know more about the focus groups you did, how many you had, and were they a diverse group?
We did about, I'm calling them focus groups, but we had kind of individuals, and some were groups of 2 or 3, show the ad and give their opinions on it. And I know, I don't know that obviously people's specific ages, but we did a couple professors in the department. I did professors in the sociology and psychology department as well. And then we did a lot of college-age students as well.
I also did it with our marketing strategy group, showed it to the entire class.
And then I introduced it to a couple practicing clinical psychiatrists and asked them their thoughts and to see if they truly understood what we were trying to get across, and they all really appreciated it. I also showed parents of children, of college-age kids, and they were very shocked that we were able to do something that they would consider as a mature concept, but we're very thankful that we had this idea and that we wanted to educate people about it.
So did you consider making a shoot in a kind of night setting or kind of late night party? Because I assume that's when most of the thing would occur.
We did consider doing a nighttime shooting, and if we could have an endless budget, then we would have done that. We shot this at my apartment, and it was really just coming down to when the volunteer actors could come in and help us. We did try to edit it a little bit to make it more cinematic, I suppose, but while this does happen in the night, it would also happen during the day. You can't really pinpoint the exact time that these acts can occur. People are unpredictable, so thank you.
Okay. This year, it was particularly difficult for me to guess who's going to be the winner. And I think you can tell from the length of the deliberations that the judges talked about every ad very, very seriously. And I have to say that they had something good to say about all the ads, and they thought the standard was quite high, which makes me look good to some extent. Okay? So, without further ado, could I have the plaque, please? Special commendation for taking the viewpoint of the dog, especially, goes to Adopt, Not Shop. And the runners-up in the 2019 ad competition were The Bystander Effect. And your winners are Away from Plastic. Could they come up here, please, and receive their award?